and Danny Bonaduce joining us right now, live to share his personal journey from addiction to recovery. So, Danny, good to see you. And I know it is one day at a time, but I understand you are celebrating a kind of sobriety for now 13 months. Is that right?
13 months. It's so funny because I kept this all to myself because I've been trying to get sober for at least 20 years. And I've never had a year before. You know, they have these birthdays and cakes and celebrations when you get a year. In 20 years of trying to get sober, I've never had a year. And I finally, I had a year last month. I am now celebrating 13 months.
So what
if you can call it a celebration, I'd really like a drink. So it's not that great of a celebration.
Oh, well, you know, so what is it that makes it, difficult to stay on that road to recovery? Once you're on it, there are constant temptations. What happens in that moment where you find, you know, it is one day, it is 1 month at a time?
Well, I will tell you this from past experience, because there are very few things, to be honest with you, that the people that profess people at rehab and therapists, there are very few things they actually get right. For the most part, they're incredibly wrong. They should almost be sued.
What do you mean?
For fraud. They just don't. First of all, I am not a big believer that I have been told to my face that alcoholism is a disease, a progressive disease, a terminal disease, just like cancer. Well, I just recently did a tour of the children's wing of the Philadelphia Hospital. That's the unfortunate acronym of CHOP, Children's Hospital of Philadelphia, in the cancer ward. And man, when I went in there and I saw an 11-year-old with no hair and dark circles under their eyes, at no point did I feel like saying, hey, I know just how you feel.
Yeah.
I don't believe that it's a disease just like cancer, and I think people that say that should be ashamed of themselves.
Okay, because you say drugs did not choose you. You chose drugs, you chose alcohol at a very low point in your life. And did that low point in large part come because you weren't getting the long-term television roles, and that was really damaging to your self-esteem, and so you turned to these methods for comfort? Did I get that right?
No, I turned to drugs. Because people get it backwards, and it's nobody's fault. It's the way I would think it if I didn't live it. People think I made a fortune on the Partridge Family. The Partridge Family sold 28 million albums. American Idol, on the night they do their finale, gets 26 million viewers. Partridge Family had 40 million viewers every Friday night. The fact is, I made $400 a week, and only for 26 weeks a year. I never had any money. I didn't start getting high until I was in my 20s. And I just came home one day, and a Los Angeles County sheriff was putting a padlock on my door, and I was homeless. And I thought, well, I got to do something with my time. So I don't like the expression turn to drugs. Just the people I was with were taking drugs, so I did the things that people that I was hanging out with did, and the next thing I know, I was addicted and couldn't stop doing it.
But weren't there moments, I guess, during that hanging with others or experimentation where you were saying to yourself, I'm jeopardizing everything, I may not work again, or I may not be able to afford this? If they're putting a padlock on my house, how am I going to be able to afford this if I get hooked? Any of that stuff come to mind at that moment?
All the time. All the time. People always ask me, what was your rock bottom? I say, pick. You know, let's see. I woke up in a jail cell in Phoenix, Arizona, chained to a transvestite, covered in blood, and I couldn't tell whose blood it was. I woke up in a phone booth on Hollywood Boulevard one time. You know that song you played when you introduced me, I Woke Up in Love This Morning?
Yeah.
I used to just wonder where the heck I woke up this morning all the time. I don't even have a particularly good rock bottom. I've only been sober 13 months.
So when you were at that bottom, one of the many bottoms, then was there ever a moment where you said, you know what, I'm kind of tired of this, I don't want to be in this, and you know, like a light switch, you just make a decision and say, I don't want to do this anymore? It's just not that easy.
That's always the way it is. Unfortunately, it's just not that easy. What happens is you recover. Either you go to rehab because you're going to go to jail. That's why everybody goes to rehab in the beginning. Well, not everyone. I don't want. By the way, let me just tell you this: if you think AA will help you or rehab will help you, please go. Don't do anything that will stop you if you think you can help yourself, please do. I am not an expert on any of these things. I know it works for me. Would you like to know how I got 13 months not drinking? It's called Bonaduce. It's a pill. It turns alcohol into poison.
So,
there you go.
So Danny,
if I take a drink right now, I'll die.
Well, what is that? What, I mean, so are you telling me that there needs to be that kind of medical intervention?
Look it up on the internet. It turns alcohol into formaldehyde. It'll kill you.
So for a lot of people who are struggling,
I don't want to sit around with a bunch of people who are whining that their mothers didn't love them and their daddies didn't hug them and I can't get a job and girls don't like me. So what? There's cures, man. How about if you're hooked on heroin and Oxycontin? Take Suboxone. It blocks the receptors. You won't get high anymore. There's ways out. Stop being such a baby. There are all these people that talk about my mother didn't love me enough, my daddy didn't hug me enough, and there are people, some of the people that you would probably know, that want to coddle them some more. I want them to shut up and stop whining.
And you're saying it really it begins and ends with self, and it has nothing to do with who might be able to help intervene or what.
Okay, I was married for 18 years to a woman who wanted me to get sober for all 18 years, and I never did. She finally came to her senses and divorced me. I was married to another woman for about 3 weeks when I got drunk and said something unpleasant. She said, I don't know who you think you're talking to, but I'm a school teacher. I have a skill. I don't need anything you have. And she walked out the door, and I said, wait, there's this pill I've heard about called Bonaduce. And she goes, I don't believe you. If you let me put it in your mouth every day and I'll watch you swallow it and then you go, like a child, then I'll come back. So I agreed to those terms and I've been sober 13 months. Stop your whining. Go to your meetings. They're wonderful. I've met some of the most interesting people I've ever met. I've met at AA meetings. But I will tell you this, I stopped drinking because I took medication that will make you either go to the emergency room or die if you drink on it.
Well, Danny Bonaduce, I'm glad it's 13 months and counting. I won't say congratulations because you said don't say congratulations. But I appreciate your time.
Well, thank you very much, and I appreciate the time. I really do. I appreciate the time very much.
Thank you, and we really appreciate your honesty. Danny Bonaduce, great to see you. All right, coming up next, we've got a pretty amazing